As part of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community UK centenary celebrations, an historic conference was held to promote respect and to restore the rightful contribution religion has to offer the 21st century. International faith leaders addressed a specially invited audience of 500 delegates from the worlds of faith, politics, government, and diplomatic corps from the world over at Guildhall in London. Among distinguished speakers were representative of the World Congress of Faiths, Rabbi Jacqueline Tabak, Senior Minister of State Right Honourable Baroness Varsi, and Vice Chair of the US Commission on International Religious Freedom, Dr. Katrina Lantos Sweat, who also delivered an address at the reception for the spiritual leader of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community at Capitol Hill. Special messages were delivered on behalf of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the Prime Minister of Great Britain Mr. David Cameron, the President of Ghana Mr. John Dramani Mahama, and the former President of Ghana Mr. John Kufuor. The keynote speaker was His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. In accordance with the teachings of Islam, he upholds the honor of all prophets of God and highlights the role of religion in the promotion of peace. His Holiness is a passionate advocate for universal human rights and global peace, and has also delivered keynote speeches at the British Parliament in London, Capitol Hill in the United States, and the European Parliament in Brussels on the theme of peace and justice. He has also written to and met world leaders, urging them to inculcate a true sense of justice and peace in international relations to avoid regional conflicts from engulfing the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to the Conference of World Religions at Guildhall. We have a number of speakers tonight, part of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community's centenary celebrations.
Your Holiness and distinguished guests, it is a great honor and humbled to be here with you and to read His Holiness the Dalai Lama's message. All religions teach the virtues of love, altruism, and patience. Therefore, even though they may hold different philosophical point of views, we should respect them all. The simple fact of the leaders of many religions coming together and speaking from a shared platform sets a strong example to the millions of religious followers all over the world. It signals our need to reach out to each other and work for the common human goal of peace and happiness. On this auspicious occasion, I offer my greetings to everyone attending and participating in this event, and my prayer that fruits of your exchanges will be far-reaching and long-lasting. Dalai Lama.
The Prime Minister, in the knowledge that this was taking place this evening, sent a message to you all as delegates, which he's asked me to read out and which I will do. He said, "I send my sincere greetings to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community as you come together with faiths from around the world to unite for social and international peace. I recognise the great work you do here in Britain, from interfaith events across the country to helping communities who've been affected by the recent floods. And today highlights the significant work you do for interfaith relations and peace overseas. I'm delighted that the British government is represented today, will join His Holiness and faith leaders and politicians from around the world to discuss how faiths can come together to help bring about peace."
Many years ago, when I visited Huzur Sahib first time, I suggested Huzur Sahib to have these kind of conferences where we can openly discuss about our problems and bringing faith together, bringing communities together. And to my surprise, Huzur Sahib told me, "Umesh, these things are happening for so many years." I am very, very thankful that His Holiness has provided us a platform like this today, where we can hear and share our faith and our thoughts. But one thing I would say, that when we come back to our devotees, when we talk to them, we should lead by example. They will only listen when they see, like Hayur Sahib's example, that he is leading by example, he mean what he say, and he say it openly, and they do it practically. With these words, I thanks again, and my best wishes to the conference.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين حضرة إمام الجماعة الإسلامية الأحمدية الخليفة مرزا مسرور أحمد أيده الله تعالى بنصره العزيز يشرفني ويسعدني الوقوف أمام حضراتكم بالأصالة عن نفسي وبالنيابة عن أبناء طائفة التوحيدية التي تربطها العلاقات الطيبة الوطيدة مع أبناء جميع الطوائف والديانات في البلاد المقدسة المحبة للسلام والداعمة له. أيها الأخوة، من يطلع على القرآن الكريم والكتاب المقدس بعهديه القديم والجديد يجد أن الأديان السماوية تحث جميعها على توحيد الخالق العظيم، وأن جميع أتباع هذه الديانات يعترفون بقدرة الله على خلقه وبيوم الحساب، وبأن الله سبحانه وتعالى قد خلق الإنسان وقربه منه وكرمه.
What I want to say is that it is vital that together we identify the shared values that can be the basis of a peaceful society and a more peaceful world. And I suggest that in Britain we have a special responsibility for contributing to this process, because this is a fundamentally tolerant society. We are free to learn and receive from one another and to contribute to the common good together. I see today's meeting as another opportunity to learn that lesson afresh, to commit ourselves to peace together, and to do that for ourselves, for our society, and for our world. Our theme today is God in the 21st century. I believe that all of us, from the vantage points of our own faith communities, should be able to see our coming together in the cause of peace as being an opportunity to be part of God's purposes in our times.
Regretfully, we live in a world of ever-increasing secularism on the one hand, and as a sort of a counter-reaction, a rapid growth of extremist and intolerant pietism. We live in a society where materialism is seen as a positive value of the highest order, and where the gap between the haves and the have-nots has reached terrifying proportions. In the name of progress and comfort, we are depleting the world's natural resources, polluting our freshwater assets, destroying our forests, and I hardly need to continue this litany of ecological maladies. We live in a world riven with political and religious strife and turmoil. The name of God and His messages are trampled underfoot in the name of rationalism and political convenience. Let us return to a simple, unsophisticated faith in the sanctity of God, man, and His nature, and seek cures for the ills that plague our society: help, mutual respect, and the legitimacy of pluralistic faith, thus ushering in a new vision of peace and harmony among all peoples.
Now I'm honored to invite our keynote speaker, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, the head of the worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim community, to deliver his address.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the gracious, ever merciful. All the distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessing of Allah be upon you all. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of the distinguished guests for attending this event. I would particularly like to express my gratitude to the eminent guest speakers who, in a very short space of time, have outlined their beliefs and views. The fact that the people of different backgrounds have gathered together this evening upon one platform proves that we who are the followers of various religions are united by a common desire and objective. And that common objective is to work towards improving the lives of the creation, of the Creator, of the heavens and the earth, amongst whom human beings have been deemed to be the very highest form. Over the course of the past year, various events have been held to mark and celebrate the centenary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in the United Kingdom. But today's event is the best of all. It is an excellent means of providing a common platform for people to come together to discuss the importance of God in these times. The Holy Quran recounts the incidents of such people who moved far away from God Almighty and consequently became embroiled in various trials and tribulations and were ultimately left ruined. Conversely, those who established a close union with God were successful and always proved to be victorious. Such narrations are given not only in the Quran but in the scriptures of other religions as well. Upon reading or hearing these accounts, we are forced to consider and question whether these stories are just myths, fables, or are they steeped in reality? Did those consequences that God's chosen people warned about actually come to occur? Were the signs fulfilled that God's representatives proclaimed? Did God Almighty reward and bestow His bounties on His chosen ones? As a result of the teachings of the prophets, did people who believed in God come to walk upon a path paved with love and compassion for others? In this short time, I cannot explain each individual issue in depth, but I can attest to the fact that the history of religion proves that the answer to all of these questions is most certainly yes. And so it is my prayer that the world comes to understand the need of the time. I hope and pray that we, who are the representatives of different faiths and religions, and who have gathered here today to particularly demonstrate these loving teachings, all strive towards worshiping the one God by treating His creation with justice and by fulfilling their due rights. Certainly, these are the original teachings of all religions. We should utilize all of our resources and capabilities to foster a better society, to help God's creation and to spread love, affection, and peace at every level. The urgent and critical need of the world today is to establish peace and faith in God. If the world understood this reality, then all countries, whether large or small, would not, in the name of defense spending, allocate millions and billions of dollars to expand their military capabilities. Rather, they would spend that wealth to feed the hungry, to provide universal education, and to improve the living standards of the developing world. If we assess today's world in a fair manner, then we must accept that even the economies of the developed world have become uncertain and unstable. The spending power of the members of the public has vastly diminished. Even here in the Western world, or the developed world, interviews are shown on television where it is said that in the past families used to be able to eat out regularly, but never mind eating out. Now they are even forced to go hungry at home on occasions. It is simply not possible for them to eat and live as comfortably as before. And the reason for this is that countries are prioritizing their defense and military budgets over their social welfare budgets. There is a greater desire to send armies to foreign countries thousands of miles away and to send weapons rather than paying attention to alleviating the problems on one's own doorstep and solving the problems of a nation's own people. Thus, disorder is not being spread by religion, but it is actually being spread as a result of political games and ambitions, and the fact that peoples and nations are seeking to assert their superiority over one another. Thus, it is the urgent need of the time that all people and all nations pay heed to this. Otherwise, the world stands on the brink of an unimaginable destruction. Some of the destruction we see in the world today is self-inflicted, while some is due to the horrific consequences of natural disasters. And so, in order to protect ourselves and to save mankind, we need to turn towards God Almighty, and we need to attach ourselves to the living God, and living God who did not forsake the prophet Moses and his people, and nor did he forsake the prophet Jesus and his disciples, nor have true Muslims been deprived from attaining the blessings of God and seeing their prayers accepted. These are not old stories or myths of the past, but in fact, God is an ever-living God who is alive today. At the end, I would like to say that instead of laying the blame for our mistakes upon God and upon our religions, we should take a look in the mirror and assess our own shortcomings. With these words, I would like to once again thank all of the guests for taking the time to come and listen to what I have said today. Thank you very much. According to our traditions, at the end of the formal function, we normally offer silent prayers. So now I will offer silent prayer. Ahmadis will join me. All of you can pray in your own way if you wish. Now silent prayer. Ameen.